Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It is a really exciting time. This is my first time broadcasting on Steam, so I feel like a big shot now. I'm just kidding. So, thank you to the devs for inviting me to be a part of this occasion. I really appreciate it. So, first, we'll start with introductions. My name is Geeky Kitten. Some of you might know me, hopefully, from YouTube. I'm a content creator and streamer. I'll be your host for the broadcast. I'm also a freelance video editor and writer. So the trailer that you see on Steam for the game was created by yours truly. And thank you again to Kama for letting me do that for the game. Next up is Kama, of course, the brains behind the operation, self-proclaimed old nerd cat lady, and multi-talented creator of CatSacks. And this is her first official game release. And then we have Sponge, who is the bard behind the sound design and much of the music of CatSacks. So welcome, guys. This is a really exciting opportunity here to show off this just fun and adorable puzzle game. So let's start with, how did you guys meet to begin with?
So that's a story that's always funny to me, and Sponge may or may not agree. It was 2004. We were young and hip. That's what we were in 2004, right?
Yep. Yep.
Something like that.
It was a different time.
It's a different time. And I thought myself to be a cool gamer. Someone at my work told me about this thing called Second Life. And they were like, yeah, you should join this game thing. It's great. So I did, and it turned out it wasn't a game, and I thought it was boring and it was dumb. It was just an online community. What am I doing here? So that person at work then said, you're a designer. There's an in-world economy. You could make some money. So went back in, figured, all right, well, maybe I'll give this one more try. And, I like helping people. Maybe if I help somebody, that'll be, even more fun, right? So I go to this club called The Level, which I had gone to a couple times. And I saw someone sitting backwards on a booth, kind of facing the wall. And I thought, great, I'm going to ask that guy if he knows he's facing the wall. And as it turns out, he did not. And we have been friends ever since. Turned out he was a bit of a computer guy. I was like, hey, I'm going to make some content. You want to help me? And he was like, sold. So now we've just made stupid things over the years.
Wow. Okay. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting we met because somebody was sitting facing a wall. That is a unique story. So full points, full points in uniqueness for sure. Excellent. Thanks you so much for sharing. All right. So now let's talk about the game itself. Give us the story behind the game. How did this idea even come about to begin with?
So I was getting ready to make the leap to finally, make real games. I had made Flash games, obviously Second Life stuff, for years, but none of it was like, it didn't feel like real game creation. And got to talking with some friends on, I've been writing this hacktivist kind of choose your own adventure book for years, and I thought that'll be my first game, right? Graphic novels are getting really popular, the game books now especially. So I was like, that would be a great first one. But in that conversation, and I hate to say, I have completely forgotten, somehow the word CatSacks entered into the conversation. And immediately I knew my first game was no longer going to be this game book. It was going to be CatSacks. It was going to be about my cats and my other friends' cats, floofs, and, some of their little kids even maybe. And it was going to be kind of in the style of a Where's Waldo. And like at the time I was playing Hidden Folks. That's a great game. Long story short,
with that one.
I love it. Adrian had gone to a museum and saw this guy's art and was like, I need to make a game out of that. And all of the sounds are voice or just his voice. So that was the other kind of inspiration for having our kitties and our floofs be the voices behind the actual finds. But yeah, so I think it was just a combination of that really weird conversation. I remember we were walking to somebody's car. It might have been Christina. She's the one who helped make the first video trailer, which we'll see a little bit of. Or I guess not a snapshot of it. But yeah, it was just a weird occurrence and what I happened to be really into playing at that time. So
Okay. So let's take a look at some of this early concept art here. Here we
if this
go.
works. If we got our setup working right.
Yeah, sorry. If I switch to another screen, then it's going to show on the Steam broadcast. So I got to stay on this one. You know what? Hold on a second. Here we go. It's separate. Nobody can see the magic behind the screen anymore. All right. So let's talk about early concept art. Here we go.
So kind of the first screen that you see there is Inkscape. So for previous decades in my professional work as a designer and creator, I was used to the Creative Suite, which of course got very expensive over the years.
Yes.
And that's
Can
not
attest
any
to
art
that.
in any real artist budget. I'm sorry. Like if you
Yeah.
like if you're a successful artist, that's awesome. If you can somehow still afford that, I am very jealous.
Yep.
But I had also like picked up over the years a couple like open source tools and dabbled here and there. So when it came time to create the game, it was like my budget is 0 and I really want to do things in as much open source as possible. So part of this first game is also about relearning Inkscape, which is a fabulous tool and 100% replaces Illustrator. And do people still use InDesign? Is that still a thing? I don't know. I'm probably getting myself even more than.
Not as much, but it's still used. I just don't think it's as popular.
And then, of course, GIMP for some of the automation and more Photoshop type things. But so yeah, so the first two images are kind of figuring out, all right, what are the items going to be in the game? What's the color scheme going to be? What's the style going to feel like? I really wanted to kind of honor Puka. So there's this Korean cartoon named Puka, which was popular in the early 2000s. It's who our kitties are named after, Garo and Abio. They're two
Okay.
little ninjas. So I kind of wanted to honor that art style a bit. I'm not exactly the best at it, but like people who know Puka might say, yeah, I kind of see Puka now.
I think it came
Sponge,
out
do you
pretty
see
good.
Puka now? Maybe. Oh wait, did your audio? Oh, sorry. So yeah, so the cat concept art, getting used to my drawing tablet again, and then if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the green there. That's actually Unity, and trying to wrap my head around how does the 2D work within a 3D space. I had heard most first-time developers usually create a 2D game because it's easier.
Right.
But as a good friend, the mayor often says, "Go big or go home." I was like, "All right, we're gonna try 3D, but with 2D to kind of accomplish the Hidden Folks type cartoony flat style, but still have a 3D space to be able to move around in." And that green space was like I had gotten a free packet of these little forest guys to understand scaling, and I was learning how to I guess clone. So that's why there's little circles of the guys there, because it was like one guy, and I was trying to figure out how do I clone, how do I position them, so that was early stuff.
Yeah, I can only imagine the magnitude of the amount of time it would take to make a game like this if you weren't using cloning. as a mechanism, that would just be kind of outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of individual and unique
Oh yeah,
objects,
absolutely. Absolutely.
but yeah, there's definitely a lot of cloning. I'm actually kind of proud of how the cloning is working. Um, it's working pretty well. I
Mm,
didn't think it would go that well. And Spudge was integral in. Did I say that word right? Ugh, I'm getting so
close
old.
enough.
Um,
We know what you mean.
in making sure that the cloning was working and it wasn't going to crush things.
Yeah,
So he also did a lot of the testing, um, because he's been a alpha and beta tester for a lot of games over the
right.
years. So he can make more sense of like, oh no, the memory is doing this. Like I don't think you have this right, and we may not be able to say the right words to each other, but
But it works.
we can get to the middle
But it works.
eventually.
You speak
He's
two different languages until the words start to overlap and you find the
yeah,
meaning.
basically. Basically.
Pretty much how it works with this.
Okay. All right, awesome. So, let's talk about what it actually takes to get a game to market. And I feel like this is just like such a big question when it comes to indie developers is like even if they have the skills and the team or couple of people available to actually make the game, it's like okay, that's one problem to solve, creating the game, making it. But then there's the whole other problem that a lot of indie devs don't have experience in, which is actually getting it released, getting it out to market, the publication, Kickstarters, marketing materials, etc. So let's get the laydown on that.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's something that I would have been able to do, I don't want to say easily, but as kind of like smoothly, if you want to call it smooth,
Mm,
as I was able to if I didn't have, my 20 years of experience working at agencies, having clients, even the Second Life stuff. But like a lot of that information came from my professional life of to know what to do and where to kind of get started.
right.
So before I wanted anything out there was to get a new brand, and then get that actually like legalized because in the US at least, when you want to start making money, especially online, they're not tracking it much better than they used to. You really don't want to use your own information, your social security number. Like that's just you're just kind of asking for trouble. At least in my opinion. Many will say I'm more paranoid than the average bear, which I 100% agree with. I am more paranoid than the average bear. Um, so getting an EIN number and a business license and making a brand came first, and that took a few months to get through the process.
Mm-hmm.
The EIN you get from the feds, you can get it a little bit faster now. EIN is the employee identification number. So
Right.
even though I cannot legally employ anyone, so anyone who is helping me is like a contractor, right? I can't
Right.
have an FTE yet until
Right.
I make that next leap in the business part. Like we're all protected and taxes will work correctly, and nobody's going to come after us for not doing our part. So that was really important to get up front. It's a little scary these days. You have to kind of put your information out. You used to just have to like put it in a newspaper. You could put it in a tiny little newspaper and nobody would see it, and you wouldn't have weirdos calling you. But now it goes straight online, and all the weirdos can call you.
It's the world we
So
live in.
another right. So another important part was to get a business address. So I have a legal business address as well to kind of like, you know, have a one step distance between the business and home, because
Right.
I think even those of us that work from home for other people, you don't necessarily want somebody coming over to your house because you made a clip for some client, right? Like,
Right.
so that kind of protection. So that's a few months. You got to do that. You got to do your due diligence there. You'll be so happy that you did, but it is a bit of a pain. You have to go to courthouses and like all this kind of stuff. They are making more of it available online, but again, I'm a little paranoid, so I do it in person if I can. So getting all the legal junk out of the way, then it's kind of like, all right, we've got our idea, we've got some initial kind of imagery. I did a couple quick, like, kind of, do I understand enough to be able to make this function? So I'm not going to say, yeah, we're going to make this thing, and it turns out I can't figure it out. So did a couple of those first. And then it was time to kind of do a little bit of guerrilla marketing. I do have Google Ads and a couple other things that, I could throw stuff at, but in Sponge and I's experience, some of the best marketing was just telling our friends, and, they would
Word
get
of
on the
mouth.
Facebooks,
Yep.
get on the Twitters and that kind of good stuff. I no longer have Twitter and things like that for various reasons, but I do have Discord, which is of course where I met you, which was awesome because you had your community and through YouTube. So I have YouTube and Twitch and Discord. So those were kind of like the platforms, the easy low barrier platforms that was
Right.
like, all right, we're
Right.
going to make some content and then we're going to push it out there. And that meant we were going to make some promo videos and some images and QR cards to like leave behind at the coffee shops and stuff like that, preferably with permission, but maybe not. Maybe you drop
Just
some here and there.
yeah, that just fell out of my purse.
Well, go on. Had a great time making the first PR video. My friend Christina and I, you can kind of see a picture of her with Soup, who is also in the game,
Okay.
Banana Soup. She was a great kind of director, producer, handed her my Sony camera and said, let's go. And we went to this coffee shop and asked them if we could film there for a while. And they were super cool. They were like, yeah, by all means, come on. So we filmed kind of the coffee takes, and we got a lot of pictures of Garo and Abio in order to make the game content, but the video content as well. So like having someone else, like even if you can do everything yourself technically, like having someone else who's got a good eye and who knows what's fun is so critical to kind of keep things going, but make sure that you're making something for other humans and not just yourself, right?
Right. Right.
There's a difference between just making for you and I want to do this, and like I want to learn and make something that is worth it to other people, And I'm really good at babbling, so let me know when it's time to.
Yep. Don't
Sponge
you
is like,
worry.
oh my god.
I'm watching the clock. I got you.
Another great thing for the promo stuff. So we did do Kickstarter. I went into the Kickstarter absolutely 100% believing it would fail. Partially because I wasn't going to do all the kind of media pushes that you need to make your Kickstarter successful now. Again, it's not like it was back in the day where you'd get picked up by the algorithm, you'd have all these people going, wow, this is great. Now there are like whole businesses around pushing your Kickstarter. And Kickstarter was more for me about proving that this is real. And if we do get people who will pick it up, awesome. If not, that's okay. Like, I'm not going to spend a ton of effort, like, try and push that out. It was a good experience. Met some great people. I think if we did another one, we could make it successful, but I'm not sure that that is anything we'll want other than, again, for, like, the PR. And it would be for, like, a small dollar amount again and be more about building our community. Like, another good friend, Triana, makes these amazing cat butts. So we gave these away as part of the
Those are super
Kickstarter.
cute.
And yeah, I have a set for you.
Oh, yay.
She made some exclusive designs just for us. So,
Oh,
we have
nice.
some some friends and other great people on Discord and whatever that will be getting their sets. I think we'll probably also do like little promos, even just on Steam, and maybe once it comes on Android, to like get people the cat butts still,
Yeah.
because a lot of people really love the idea. So
Yeah, of course.
so that'll be another fun thing coming up. And
Okay.
oh, I'll save that for the what's next.
Yep.
A good friend of Sponge's had a great idea that we're going to do a bit later too.
Okay.
And then, of course, kind of that final picture there is Steam Next Fest.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you approach Steam? Well, with Steam, they want a lot of information. They want to know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing. They want to see that you're actually doing like a real product. Like they're not
Right.
interested. They have changed their process over the years. So I don't know if you or other people have noticed. There aren't as many kind of like, I hate to say it, low barrier games anymore
Asset
because they're
flips.
trying to, yeah, yeah, there aren't as many assets. Yeah, like they're trying to kind of rein that in, because like there are ways to kind of get through the Steam pipeline
Yeah.
where you can like show something really great, but ultimately wind up somehow pushing something else out, and they're like kind of clamping down on people who are taking advantage of that because it is serious, and they have real humans helping. I have 100% preferred the Steam experience over kind of what I've been getting with Android lately, which
Okay.
sucks because I was there at the beginning with Google. But yeah, Steam, they're really great. They'll answer questions. When we were doing the May the 4th, as you would recall,
Mm-hmm.
I screwed up on a date thing here and there, and as it turned out, I would have to wait 3 days because now I was suddenly in Steam jail because of the update that I made.
Mm-hmm.
And putting in that support ticket and someone answering it in the middle of the night and like pushing us through so that we didn't have to wait the 3 days, like that made a difference.
Of
And
course.
the fact that she signed it, May the 4th be with you. Like,
Oh, okay. That's special touch.
yeah.
Chef's kiss.
So, so like approaching Steam, I think I want to say it took 3 months to get approved as a Steam partner. So proving that you're actually making a thing, and you're a real human or a real company, like they take it seriously. So it's comforting
Good.
and a little scary.
Yeah.
The fact that we got approved for Next Fest was so, like, I was so surprised we got approved. Like, it was fun. So the way to get into Next Fest is you basically ask, and then they look at your work and they decide if you're going to get in, and then they have a kind of these carousels. So we appeared in 3 categories, and the big one was kind of the point and click, but the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we got picked for 3 categories with our first game in our first Next Fest, like, we're so excited. They were really
Absolutely.
great in helping through the process. Yeah, and they would have like video forums that you could go and ask like the Steam team questions and stuff like that. So I think Steam has been a good choice, and doing it. I don't want to say by myself, but Sponge has helped with a lot of stuff. Hasn't been that bad. I was approached by publishers in the
Sure.
in the UK.
Yeah.
It was an interesting conversation. They seemed like really great people, but at the end of the day, it was more like Unity made some policy changes, and so they were kind of like figuring out what they were going to be doing for the future. And I was like, cool, I'm going to do this with or without any kind of publishers for this first one, and we'll be our own publishers. So I think it was a good choice to make instead of waiting or kind of courting publishers, because now we know the ins and outs
Yeah.
for when we
Yeah.
do, if we decide to. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Absolutely. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Now we're going to move on to talking about the tools a bit, but we'll have to kind of go through this section quickly because we want to make sure we've got time to show off the game itself. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of tools were actually used to create the game. We do have some pictures here to show as well. I know you talked about I can't talk all of a sudden. See what you've done? No, I'm just kidding. Inkscape. Wow.
Old
But you
is
haven't.
contagious.
Yeah, apparently. But let's talk about. We haven't talked about Blender at all, so let's talk about that a bit.
Okay. So Blender, for anyone who's familiar with any Pixar movie, Blender can make that.
Okay,
So it's
so
an
it's a powerful
amazing,
tool.
it's a powerful tool. It can do 3D modeling, it can do animation, it can do video editing, it can do audio editing. I use Blender for all of the above. The pictures that I took were kind of crappy, but the first one is like one of the video trailers. Like that's how I go through and can compile different parts of video trailers, edit the sound that Sponge gives me. You know, I can add sound effects, split up songs, like all that kind of stuff. That's also how I make some of the 3D objects, because there are a few 3D objects. I made, I think, probably 80% in Blender, and then I did a little bit in Pro Builder inside Unity. Pro Builder is kind of like a very, very small slice, I guess you could say, that's kind of like Blender inside Unity. But Blender is a great tool that's been around forever, and it's also open source. It can do everything a Maya or a 3ds Max, which were big back in the day. I don't know if they still are. It can do everything that those can do.
Okay.
GIMP, again, like Photoshop, and Inkscape, very much like Illustrator. So I do
Right.
all of the drawing inside Inkscape. Sometimes I draw with a mouse. Sometimes I'm drawing with a pen. Sometimes it's just vector, like pulling splines around. So everything gets drawn, and then it gets imported into Unity, which is in the bottom there.
Yep.
And every little piece, especially as a sprite, has to be assigned a name. It has to have a cutout. If it needs to run into anything, it needs to have a collider, like an invisible box put around it. So every tiny little piece kind of needs to be brought in and honed inside Unity very carefully. And then, of course, I use VS Code, which is it's kind of like Notepad. It's just a really fancy notepad that hooks up right into Unity in this instance, and then I can have the colors change, and it can help me know if I'm writing crappy code. Like it'll tell you when something's broken or whatever. So
Right.
that's how I write the majority of C#, which I was also learning at the same time.
Okay.
I took the Unity classes, which helped a ton. Unity Carl, if you ever see this, your classes were by far the best.
All right. Shout out Unity, Carl. Let's also talk a bit about the sound effects and music, the tools behind those. We got some pictures here as well.
So when it came to the sound effects, it was me going from a complete and total IT guy background to zero knowledge of, well, really a lot of anything that to do with music. When we first started out, we decided I was going to do some sound effects, and as you see in the larger picture, I went out to the hardware store, bought just random things to start crafting like sounds with, like the broken pot for the clay pots that you break.
Mm-hmm.
The large tube there was used on sound effects and dragging. And then I even bought little instruments to do like some custom chimes that you hear like, on fines. The sprunging noise using the mouth harp.
Nice.
And a lot of the editing I did. Again, I also used a lot of the free program. I ended up using Audacity. Like I would make a noise,
Mm-hmm.
take whatever noise I could, warp it in whatever way I could to try to come up with different uses for the same noise.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear that a lot in the game, but even though they're the same noise, they sound completely different.
Right.
Another thing that we used for the music was the Muse score when we first started, because it was completely free. So a lot of what you're going to hear in the background, I've written note for note. Some of the classic songs and the campfire song, you'll hear, like I've had to go note for note on those also, and I try to tweak them, like a little more modern, a little more feel to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then lately, as I've been moving in, getting more accustomed to that, I've started using Ableton and the keyboard, the little mini keyboard I bought, the Mini Lab 3. And I'm hoping that helps me push further. And I've learned a lot of new tricks, and some of the new sound effects you hear are using the Ableton and the Mini Lab.
Awesome. And is this by any chance a kazoo that I see here?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. I was like, it looks like one. I'm not 100% sure. All right. Awesome. That is so cool how you just were able to pick up this stuff from a hardware store and turn it into these sound effects. Like, that's just such a creative way to go about it.
And don't forget, so we also have voices on our NPCs that aren't our floofs. Sponge has neighbors that might give him weird looks these days because
I have been very vocal and very loud of making animal noises and
Oh.
practicing noises when out. And so yeah, the neighbors can definitely hear me making these loud noises through.
Okay. Through the walls. Man, they must be
Nothing like
really
that.
wondering what the heck has been up these past however long it's been that you've been doing these sound effects. Like, what is going on in there? Are they like practicing for theater or something? Somebody putting on a performance of cats?
Cows, goats, bees talking, tiny voices.
Right.
The little
Wow.
waterfall scene there is I actually went hiking and then out in Yellow Springs, Ohio, and I came down and recorded the actual waterfalls that we could use in the game. For some
Oh,
of the sound effects.
nice. There's nothing like the real sounds of nature. Just brings it to a whole nother level for experience. That is awesome.
Yeah, he made some beautiful atmospheric, like as you zoom in and out, some of it I made into 3D sound, so you'll only hear it when you zoom in and out, and other it's like 2D sound, which means you'll hear it in your ears the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, he did some really great ones, especially with water, or even like buckets of water.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much, Common Sponge. We're going to transition to some gameplay now. Now, what we're going to be showing is not at the very beginning of the game. We don't want to give all the puzzles away, so we already found the more difficult ones, so that will still be a secret for you. Now, I'm going to make a fool of myself by saying that, though, because the easy ones I'm probably going to have trouble finding. So we'll see. So let me hide that window there. And let's get into the game. Okay, and we should be having game music coming through here now. So let me load up my save file. If it would like me to load up my save file.
Uh-oh.
I wonder if I've had the game open so long that it's angry at me because it's just been static in the background.
Interesting.
Why don't I close it and reopen it? Because I have a feeling it's just angry. Because I've got so many different windows open, so many things going on at once. I think Steam's just getting a little overloaded. So let me just close this out. Bear with us a second, guys. It's not a real stream if you don't have a technical difficulty. Just keep that in mind.
True.
Speaking from
we are 100%
many
live.
streams on YouTube with problems. All right.
For sure.
Bear with us. We're going to get this going again. Here we go. Ooh, still not there. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if that thing happened again where it's trying to pull from the wrong area. Do you remember we were having that issue the other day?
Let's hope not, but if so, then I guess we just do a few
introduction
of the
first
easy
level.
ones quick.
Give me 1 second. I'm just going to check if it created a new one. Okay, no, it didn't. You know what it did do, though? Got rid of my save files.
Oh, no.
Because I'm under that folder and it's not there anymore. So I apologize,
Oh, no.
everyone. This is no fault of the game. This is something on my end, a technical difficulty, where it just decided to get rid of my save data for some reason. So what we're gonna do is improvise.
It could be the Steam Cloud stuff. I've had that happen to other games, Steam Cloud stuff.
Sorry, Steam, I love you, but every once in a while you mess up with the Steam Cloud save, okay? So it could be that, or it could be something on my computer itself. I do apologize, everyone. We're just gonna improvise here. We're gonna go into the very first map. I'm gonna make a new save game. Give me just a second here. We're gonna go in, we're gonna go into the first map, and we won't find all of the cats so that we don't have to, spoil all the puzzles for you.
Are you able to put the stream back in Discord? Otherwise, not a problem.
Is it no longer in Discord?
No, maybe just reshare it?
Okay. Let's wait till the intro is done, because every time I click out of the... There we go.
I hear it. You could totally just describe it. If we can just try that. You could just describe everything. I'm now moving to the right. I'm going past some corn.
Alright, hold on. Oh,
there was a weird noise right there when I clicked.
It did stop sharing. Why did it stop sharing? Goodness gracious. Here we go. Do you guys see it again?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, so starting with chapter 1.
By the way, when Sponge did this song, it was one of those, I think I had asked for something different, but he did this one, and I was like, okay, I think all of my opinions are terrible. Obviously, we should have just did this from the start.
Gotcha.
I remember kind of did it as kind of a smart-ass maneuver.
Gotcha.
Because I didn't like what you'd said.
Oh, wow. Okay. Appreciate the honesty. I think it was a good choice, though. All right, so chapter 1, we're going to go into map 1. I'll just click on the icon here and load it up. There we go. And you can actually hear that water. You can hear that water when you first load in. All right. So we've got some instructions that pop up the first time you play the game. It's the annual Cataloola Scout camping trip at Farmer Calico's farm. The Cat Scouts are excited to earn new badges and play their favorite games, especially the Big Sack Race. So you drag the clue bar to see all the cats you need to find. You click on the clue patches for hints on where to find the cats if you're getting stuck. You can lower the bar out of the way so that it provides more of a challenge, or if you just need to get it out of the way for just a second, you can bring it up and down freely. You use your scroll wheel to zoom in and out, and you can use your left mouse button to click on things as well as drag the screen around to find hidden cats and other floofs and secret bonuses. The Meowgical magnifier, did I do that right, will appear when you've clicked a hidden cat and give them their race sack. Open the map and adjust settings from the settings sack. Can you locate all the cats to complete each paw badge before a big autumn storm rolls in? So hint, hint there. All right, so.
Oh, you know what? I don't think OBS is capturing your cursor.
Really? I can see it in OBS myself.
Oh, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. You guys? Okay.
You see it? Okay.
Yeah, I
Never
do
mind.
see it.
User error. It's just me.
Okay. That's all right. That's
Oh,
all right.
I see it in Steam, but I don't see it in the Discord one.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
Yeah,
machine,
that's
as we all know, can't do both.
that's a Discord setting. Okay, so this is the lovely map we have here. Some beautiful autumn foliage going on with the sunflowers. Got a nice river here. So let's try to get some easy ones out of the way. Again, I might embarrass myself here on what is actually considered easy, but we'll see. All right, so
Well, the first one, if you click on Mariposa's description, Mariposa should be pretty easy.
Mariposa is the one. Don't butterflies like hay? All right, so I believe Mariposa is hanging out back here, and this is an interesting sound right here. When you click on the hay, it's like it's got like a kind of accordion feel to it, which makes sense because the hay, like visually, is doing this like this scrunching, as if you were like playing an accordion. So if we scrunch this up here,
Oh, actually, you know what? Is the music balance okay for you? It's a little loud for me. But
Is it?
again,
Okay.
It could just be me.
Nope, that's okay. We can adjust the music. I can bring it down.
Oh, you could probably. No, I just mean in the settings, in the game settings, you should be able to turn on music.
Oh, well, I can do it
Just
in the other
separately.
settings too. It's not a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It'll take a second.
Yeah, it will take a sec to reflect. If it's still too loud, let me know. All right, so we've got, there we go, Mariposa right here. There we go. So you can see as you find them, the picture comes up with the magnifying glass, and then you know that you found them by the little sack going on top of them in the menu right here, just in case you're like me and you forget things like extremely quickly and you're like, wait, did I find that cat? You'll know if there's a sack on them that yes, you did indeed find the cat. Another one of the easier ones is this little guy right here, Kitty Daisy. And there are just some ridiculous glasses on this cat. Just like, poof. Those really stand out to me. Is there a particular reason why this cat has just these ginormous glasses on it? Or was that just kind of like on a whim, like, we need a cat with big glasses?
Neither. It's
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
So the way that, hopefully I can explain this well. So the way the cats are built in the menu is dynamic. The menu says, okay, which cats do I need to show for someone to look for? That's built essentially like as the game loads.
Okay.
So I picked out these 12 cats that exist on the stage, right? So the ones that you're like finding, and then it builds the cat itself inside the navigation on the nav. And for the kittens, I would have to shrink their information down as it's being built, because there's a single container basically that has every element in it, and that container says, oh, I'm this kind of cat with these things in it. So I had to like programmatically adjust sizes for kittens, and I forgot to do it for the glasses.
Oh my god. Okay.
But then they came through and they looked so cute
And
that way,
you
so
just
I
went
decided
with
to just
it.
leave it.
Wow. That is funny. I wonder how many devs have stories like that where it's like, that was totally not intentional, but then I liked it so much I just left it.
Yeah, I was just like, oh great. And one less exceptional line of code I have to make.
Right. There you go. If it looks good, then why? Why bother, right? All right. Let's go ahead and we're going to find Beatrice. I felt like this one was relatively easy. So if you go on over to these beehives here and just click around, and you get that lovely buzzing noise that comes out and the swishing of the air, and little Beatrice is just hanging out there. She's so tiny, but super cute. I love the design of this one. I think this is one of
How
my
was the
favorites.
sound for the bees made again? I totally forgot. I think we
I
combined something that we found.
I think Sponge might be muted.
I was trying to remember. I
Oh, he's just
really
kidding.
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember how I
All
did
right,
the
you
thing.
weren't muted. You were just lost in thought. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. If you go to the other area of sunflowers and zoom in, you'll hear a different kind of bee noise as well. So if you zoom
This
real
one right here?
far in, yeah.
Okay, zooming in, zooming in.
Although the music might be a little louder.
Yeah, the music might be. Let's see.
If you go into the settings, you can,
It's the question mark,
kind of
right?
change the volume. It's the 3 lines. The hamburger,
it's
like on your phone.
Oh, it's the hamburger. Okay, so
Yeah.
this one should be the
The
music.
music notes one. Yeah, there we go.
Let's try that.
Yeah, do you hear the kind of like zzz?
Oh, I do hear a little bit of that. It's very quiet, but I hear it. There it is. It sounds like something
This
you'd
is
hear
one
in
of-
like A Bug's Life or something. Almost like there's a voice behind the buzz, you know? That's really cute. All right.
Yeah, that was how many days of making weird noises to yourself?
Yeah, the bee one wasn't as bad as like the goat one, but I
Oh,
finally
the goat.
I brought up the information on what I did for the bee noises. Those were the kazoo. I altered the kazoo sounds.
Oh, those are the kazoos?
Okay.
Got it.
Interesting. All right. Now, when you say goat noises, do you mean these goats?
Yes.
Those are some pretty interesting noises. Are these the ones that your neighbors thought you were going nuts? Let me zoom in
Yeah.
Among
closer.
others.
Yeah.
Because some of them are like,
Yeah. Oh, imagine walking around somewhere and then you're making those noises as you're walking around the park.
I think you'd get some looks for sure. Those are really cute though. I like the design of the goats. All right, what are some other easier ones that we can find? What do you think?
So banana soup we will save because
Okay.
banana soup was one I was very excited that I figured out how to do.
Okay, so we're gonna
How
save
about-
banana soup.
Yeah. How about Kit Spot? So if you look at
Kit
Kit Spot's hint,
Picking up banana soups, dropped ooples or apples. Okay.
so that's a bit of a Girl Scout reference for anyone who's sung the apples and bananas song.
Yep. I want to eat
Eat,
apples
eat,
and
eat,
bananas.
eat. Yes,
Or ooples and banunus or
ooples and bananas.
something like that. Yep.
That's been one thing that Sponge has been very good at, kind of reminding me of like, the average person doesn't know that song, right? Not
Right.
everybody was a Girl Scout.
I mean, I
You gotta
wasn't,
give a
and
better
I know the
explanation.
song.
Did you? Okay, well, good.
Oh, I think I saw her. Ah! You gotta manipulate. There we go. Right there.
So we were calling those perspective finds. That was something that we wanted to be a little different than like Hidden Folks or what is it? Is it Finds Through Time? I forget. None of them have this perspective type find because they're all truly flat 2D.
Right.
So there's
right.
no way you could move cameras around or anything like that. So that was
Right.
one of the things that we wanted to make unique to this is like you'd need to do a little bit of finagling and maybe the find isn't necessarily gonna line up right in the middle of your screen.
Right.
So
And,
that was
and
kind of one of the challenges that we wanted to do.
I have to say that the first time I played this when it was out on demo, that was one of the things that actually tripped me up initially because I'm used to playing puzzle games where it is just, it's all flat. So you don't have to do this like weird finagling of the camera to try to find these in-betweens and stuff. So at first I was like, oh, why am I having so much trouble finding some of these? And I remember asking you, and like, oh, well, you gotta zoom in, you gotta do this. I'm like, oh, right. So that I think that just brings a whole new layer of depth to the puzzles, that you actually sometimes need to pull your camera out, sometimes need to pull your camera in, sometimes need to pull things to the side a little bit.
Another
And
thing
the
we
way,
really pushed.
oh, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry. Another thing we really pushed to is everything moves. So just because you're looking at one spot, like most search find games, it's just an aesthetic location. We're moving
Right.
around. That animal might not always be where you think it is.
Right. Yeah, there's actually one cat on this map. I believe it's Wizard, where I have a heck of a time finding him because that little bugger is just all over the place. He's just going everywhere. I'm like, wait, where'd he go? Like, I thought I saw him. No, I don't see him anymore. So that's another thing that adds some depth to the game as well, is like the fact that, no, if you see it for a second, and you say, I'll come back to that. Well, when you go back, it's no longer there. You have to re-find it again. So adding these layers of difficulty, which just makes it all the more interesting. But also probably made this a little bit more challenging of a puzzle game to create. The fact that you guys wanted to go a couple levels deeper and be like, all right, let's add some perspective. Let's add all this movement so that it isn't just like every time you're going to find it in the same spot.
Yes, that was, especially for Wizard, as you're talking about. Wizard was the first cat that kind of got what I'm calling the Wayfinder code. So what you can't see is that there are like invisible nodes, and there's an invisible kind of guide that Wizard is following to make sure that he doesn't get knocked off his path. So there's like 20 nodes that he's following in a specific way, and his speed kind of differentiates a little bit, but he's got this guide so that, you know, if he accidentally runs into a fence, the guide is waiting for him. It's going to kind of like pull him over. So
it's like, no, come back.
Yeah, and because the AI, it's not AI, the way the NPCs kind of do the random walking around, I decided to kind of have it where it would be kind of funny. So if a cat runs into an object or another object, there's basically code that just goes, oh, I ran into a collider. I need to pick a different direction in the next 5 seconds. And it'll pick a random direction.
Okay.
So it might bump into it again because random is random. And there were a couple like tester friends initially that were like, I think this is broken. I was like, no, that's by design. I thought it would be funny. So hopefully people have found it funny and not think it's broken.
And not think something's wrong.
Yeah. But we discovered that Wizard could get stuck behind the NPCs because the code and the way the NPCs would move was essentially unforgiving. And Wizard didn't have a way to bounce off of them. He didn't have a way to tell them, no, let me go forward. So then I had to like change the code a little bit and how their invisible colliders kind of work. So the way Unity does those things, it's like some of it is confusing. Like, well, are you using physics? Are you not using physics?
Right.
I don't know. Am I? Like, so like learning the difference in, you know, physics and like when do you just translate something from one area to the next? Basically just say, I am going from left to right, and that's it, no matter what. I'm not using gravity. I'm not using a push, per se, with physics. Whereas with physics, it's like, okay, you're going to have some force applied to you, and you're going to move in the direction that the force pushes you, or the direction that you've been programmed to move because you got hit. Like, I still confuse myself.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All
Unity's so huge and it lets you do so much. Which,
oh, yeah, for sure.
Sure. It was kind of frustrating. Like, just tell me the best way, darn it.
Don't tell me all the ways. Tell me the good way.
What's the best way?
All right, why don't we find a few more? I don't want to, again, give too much away, so let's find a couple more. What am I thinking here?
How about Sneezer? What is his clue?
Sneezer's clue is rolling in them makes allergies worse. So probably hay?
I mean, there's a little bit of hay around.
There's some hay here. Or is it like a barrel of hay, though? Am I on the right track?
You're on the right track.
Okay, you don't want to say anything.
Also, that was one of my favorite
The
sounds
sound
to do
effect
for
is
the hay.
squeaky. It sounds like a
Which-
doggy squeak toy. Here he is.
It was.
Oh, okay. That's
was-
all right. That's what it
was-
sounds like then. Speaking of
I think,
someone
were you
who-
doing a sound check or what were you doing? And then I decided to just use it.
We were just trying to come up with ideas, and my dog was playing with one of her squeaky toys. And it just started
Oh,
squeaking.
okay. Just heard that in the background. I was like, hey, that could work.
Well,
Yeah.
And then when we were doing a test session, like he was basically testing that I got the physics rolling properly for the hay and was like, oh my God, why would you do that? I was like, because it's unexpected. I think it's great. He was like, that is not the sound I thought we would put on that. Turns out it's great.
I mean, speaking as someone who has a very playful pup, I mean, that's probably why I was able to identify the sound. Lots of squeaky toys, and she loves the squeaky toys. Should play this game on speakers at some point and see how she reacts to all the noises.
One thing
Alright,
about my
There
animals,
was
they actually got a lot of toys from this because some of my sound effect stuff became their toys.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Hopefully not the metal pipes, but
for the Kickstarter, that was going to be one of the other kind of prizes. Was I was going to make a game specifically for your pet, just to have on like a tablet. I don't know if you've ever seen like where there's like the fish swimming and your cats
Yep.
can tap at it and stuff like that. So I was going to
Yep.
make kind of a partner app for your kitty or your puppy.
Oh, that's a cute
And
idea.
those that did it would get a copy of it. Yeah, and it would have been relatively easy, but again, going into the Kickstarter, kind of planning on it failing. Like, we promised a lot of stuff. We put the dates like really far out, so we would have been able to
Right.
hit it within the dates. But, you know, the more I thought about it, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to
This is
sleep
a
for like
lot.
3 months.
Right. Right.
Like, we were very careful, like, we're not going to promise something we can't do. But, you know, we're going to kind of push the boundary. Like, can we get it done by this date? And
Yeah.
the answer was yes, but it might be a little tough for a little bit.
All right. I think I see another one right here floating by. You can see the ears sticking out of the water here and see the outline of the mask. There we go. We've got Bastion Murr, still working on the fishing badge.
Bastion is after my first kitty that I was allowed to have at
Ah,
age 17. Sebastian. And Sebastian did not like to drink water out of his bowl or anything. He
Oh.
wanted it in a cup. He was very special about what he wanted.
Okay.
He wanted it in a cup, and then he wanted it from a running water in the sink. And he would kind of put his feet in there.
Oh,
So
okay.
he kind
That
of became the water kitty for this board.
I can see the inspiration for sure. That is a very unique kitty cat feature. I don't think I've ever heard that before. All right,
And
do
my
you
mom
want me
was
to do you want me to save the other ones, or are there any others that you feel comfortable being shown?
See,
What about?
level 2 at least one or two more.
Will it?
Well, she's got to give away some of the secrets then. 'Cause
Yeah,
The save file.
because of the save
away.
file missing. Damn you, Steam.
Or,
Just kidding.
Right.
Don't end the
you know what we
podcast.
could do? You know what we could do is you could put, or I don't know, does it work this way? If you put the browser window over the game.
Oh, so that I can
Oh.
find them without giving it away. All right,
yeah,
hold on. We're
kinda
being tricky
secret.
here.
Like
We're
would it
being
work that way?
tricky.
And then we could talk a little bit about what's on the horizon while you
All right,
try and find the.
I might
some of
have
the
to
other ones?
cover you guys up to do this though.
That's totally fine.
All right, guys, you're gonna be staring at a waterfall for a bit. There we go. All right, let me. You guys go ahead, and do you because we're running a little short on time here, why don't you go ahead and start talking about the future of the game while I'm finding these other kitty cats here, and then we can show off a little bit of map too, so we don't give too much away. How about that? Does that sound okay?
Okay, sounds great. Actually, are you able to scroll it down to the what's on
Oh,
horizon?
yeah, absolutely.
We do have
Perfect.
a couple references.
Okay.
I'm
You
just
should see it now.
watching the big screen since I can't see. There we go. So, even when the demo first came out, and we were very surprised that like people even found it, we were excited. One of the first asks was for Steam achievements, and Sponge was 100% right. He had said that months and months ago, we need Steam achievements. People are going to want this. So we have a small chunk of Steam achievements that I'm going to try and kick out within the next 2 months, because there's an API integration, and we'll have to test to make sure it defines how that works. We'll have to figure out how to test it without accidentally like pushing it out to the world. That's going to be kind of the next part, is like how to like fork the builds. There'll also be a lo-fi mode coming up. So a lot of people are like, this music is so fun, it's so cute, the kids love it, but man, you know, if we did like a chill, like I could just kind of, you know, have a chill song in the background or something, that would be cool too. So we decided we're gonna do a little bit of a lo-fi mode, so some low, like just chill vibes that'll just play, except for in cutscenes, kind of throughout if you want to choose lo-fi mode. And then the bonus puzzle finds, so that will be like the little rubber duckies, maybe other little toys that you need to find in addition to the kitties if you want to get like super 100% completionist. And those will be kind of sprinkled throughout as well. Chapter 2 is going to be it's going to be very fanciful. We are both big fans of, I don't know how to say it without giving away too much. I don't know. What do you think? Is there a way we can say it without giving away too much?
Is there a way to give little hints without giving the whole thing away?
Storybooks.
Oh,
Storybooks.
storybooks.
Ah.
Yes. So we're big fans of, you know, kids' storybooks.
Mm-hmm.
Probably some that were recreated by Disney. So the next chapter is going to be very fantastical.
Okay.
We'll say it that way.
All right.
And
Sounds
as
right
in
up
your,
my alley.
and as you're on each non-fantastical board, because you know it's completely normal to have cats driving tractors, maybe look around for some other fantastical hints on what the next chapters will bring. The other introduction will be a find the differences. So it won't just be find the hidden cats. When I was a kid, I really loved highlights magazines at the dentist and at the library, where you would have to find the differences between two identical scenes. And we're going to try and have a couple boards, a couple levels, kind of honor that as well. There is a game called Tiny Worlds that does this, and I love this game.
Oh,
like,
that sounds familiar. Okay.
yeah, anytime I'm just kind of like, my brain is dead and I'm tired at the end of the night, like, I'll
just
fire
wanna
up
chill.
Tiny Worlds. Yeah, and it's a very simple gameplay. They've done a great job with the sound and the ambience, and I kind of want to honor that kind of, that play that they kind of made live as well from, you know, the old highlights and whatever. So those are the big things that are coming up when it comes to CatSacks. But then, of course, we also have a multitude of other games that we want to make that are, we don't have enough hands. We have so many fun ideas that we want to do. And We are going to still try and get CatSacks to Android. I've been working with Google, which is
A trip.
they're not the Google that I remember 20 years ago.
There's
They're
been
not
some
that Google
changes.
anymore. There's
Yep.
been some changes, a little different now. So hopefully that can still happen pretty soon. And then also some collaborations with streamers. We're hoping to find a way to include our favorite streamers more in our games. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it should be noted, if you didn't say this already, that all these cool new things we're talking about that's coming to the game, this isn't DLC. This is just coming to the
Yes.
game. You're not going to make another purchase or anything. You're just going to get it. So when you buy the game, that's it. That's the game.
Yes.
And everything coming to the game is yours. So none of
Yeah.
that shenanigans.
Yeah, we've decided that all the new stuff that we make for CatSacks in 2024 and probably 2025 too, like we're not gonna have any added cost or anything. Like it's part of it. You
Right.
just have it for supporting this first game, which was all about learning in the
Right.
first place, and we're just happy that people are having a good time with it, and it's not exploding, and we've learned so much.
Not
And our
exploding
first
is
honored.
always an upside for sure. All right,
100%.
I am in map 2 now. So I got enough
Okay.
cats found so that we can move on to map 2. So I'm going to hide this window so that we can see this very nice farm landscape here. This is just such a cute design. I mean, all of the designs are cute, but I think I have a soft spot for this one. Even though I did find this one more difficult, which is appropriate. It's not the very first one. The first one, you're dipping your toes, you're getting used to it. So this one should be more difficult. But I guess I like the interactability of this, if that's the right word, because you can open up all these different areas of the map.
Which is a single script that I had to write in a specific way so that they all knew if I'm open, you're closed. If I'm open, you're open. If I'm closed, you're like,
Right?
I thought it would be a simple logic, like as I went through it, and as it turns out, like, whew, that took a hot second to get right.
Right?
And making the things disappear that shouldn't be seen. So like the rooftop and all the things that are on the roof, roof, sorry, I say roof wrong way.
That's okay.
Like what should disappear, what shouldn't disappear. As you can see, the birds are still kind of there.
Yeah.
Because I kind of had to make a choice, like, are they in the third section and the second section? Do they just stay there because they're birds? Like,
Right.
so there was the logic behind getting things to disappear because I have to tell Unity, you need to make these particular types of things turn off, but not go away. Because if something in Unity is destroyed, it's gone. Like it's gone. So in one way I have to say, okay, just turn all of the sprites, so the pictures that I drew, just turn their alpha, so their transparency, just turn it all down to 0. And they're still technically standing there. And others were like, oh no, you can just flip the object off. It's still there, it's just off like a light switch. And figuring out which way to do and when, this was the board that helped that. Which was,
Gotcha.
yeah, that was like a month or two process of getting right.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of different things on this one. Like spinning the cards and spinning eggs.
Lots of things that like pop out.
Yeah.
Is the Unity particle engine. Not all of them, but a lot of
Okay.
them. And you can use the particle engine in so many ways. I had seen an article, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but the title of the article was like, particle engines are your friend, or something
Okay.
like that. And he showed just like, I do this with this, I do this with that. And man, I am going to try, and this guy is my hero. Particle engines are amazing.
Well, they certainly turn into amazing things, that's for sure. All right, now
And you could
which?
definitely see how she highlighted it, especially with the little smokestack and fire you were at a little bit ago.
Yeah, this one,
How as
right?
soon as you
Hmm.
click it, it like blows up real good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
those are like two different particle systems.
this is one of the, in my opinion anyway, this is one of the prettier, like aesthetically pleasing effects that you can see
Yeah,
throughout the game.
And she
It's
put the
and
same kind
that's
of care into the clouds up in the sky too. It's a really nice system she used.
yeah, here's the
yeah, particle
clouds up
system used
here.
for the clouds too. Like I was amazed. I'm gonna use the particle system for everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's just it has such, again, it's just so aesthetically pleasing, you know. It's just nice to look at. All right,
Yeah,
which ones are you comfortable with me finding? Which ones are we okay
you
giving
wanna do you
away?
wanna find
And there's
Sponge?
not a
You said
lot
Toby,
on this
right?
one, so we should limit it.
The tiny
Just
toady, I think,
The
that
tiny toady?
it definitely highlights our perspective finds for this
Okay.
one.
Okay,
And
do
oh yeah, for
you
sure.
want me to go to that one?
Yeah, what's the clue on Tiny Toady again? And you know what? Those of you at home, if you have better ideas for these clues, by all means, send them in. Because this is my terrible writing. This one's a good one,
If
actually.
it's mushrooms that
Nikki
you
helped with this
seek,
one.
zoom in close and take a peek. Oh, yeah,
That was a good dream.
this is the one that is this the one that I did?
Yeah, this is the one that you
Okay.
yeah,
wrote.
And speaking of, here it is. Tiny Toady. Not looking so happy when you click on him, though. Not very happy to be found. But yeah, as Sponge was saying, this is a good example of the perspective find, because if you're just at the baseline level in terms of zoom in, zoom out when you first get to the map, which is this, you're not going to see it at all. This is as far as you can go down on the screen at your baseline. So you have to actively zoom in, and you have to zoom in quite a bit before you even see like the top. You have to go all the way down, and then there's these mushrooms surrounding it. So yeah, good example of that for sure. All right,
And the way
what
the
else?
camera works for this is like it's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like angled just under like 30 degrees. So the
Mm-hmm.
camera has to be controlled like this way, and like the way it shoots out its ray when you do a find, it's technically like as if you're looking through a window. Unity, I have written code that tells Unity, like, okay, this point in the distance equals this point on the pane of the glass where your mouse clicks, technically. And that was like mind numbing. I got help with that. There were all these great people on the Unity forums that I was like, has anyone else tried to do this? And
Yeah,
there are a
that
couple
sounds a
people that
little
sort of
complicated.
did.
Now, I have to point this out. This is not one of the cats you find on the map, but Banana Soup is just,
Yes,
is
Banana
just
Soup
hanging out
visits many
here.
places.
Just hanging
Banana
out
Soup
here
visits many places.
with a ball of
Just like
yarn.
real soup. Just like real soup. He's excited to be everywhere, and he loves
just
his
wants
friends.
to be part of the party, right?
Yep. That is Christina's Soup. Soup is a
Gotcha.
wonderful kitty that she found during lockdown, and he is a wonderful, wonderful little guy, and they make a perfect pair.
That's awesome.
And he also made some sound effects that he will be in later. He has the cutest little meow, but he's like a big linebacker cat.
He's a big linebacker cat with the mew. Like not even
Tiny
like a full
little
meow,
yeah.
more like a mew.
Yeah, just tiny, just
kind of like
and
a
he's
squeak.
so lovely. He loves all his friends.
All
Like my
right.
kitties, they're a little more like, all right, what are you doing in my house?
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like my cat. All right, which other one do you think we're good to find here?
I don't know. What do you want to show? One of the multi-functions, one of the ones that you have to have click multiple times
Like
to show.
Haybert?
Haybert? Is that the one you said?
Yeah. Do you think Sponge? Yeah, Haybert. I think you mentioned Haybert the other day. So Haybert was another kind of like learning like multi-step for me, because I also use a third-party code library called LeanTween,
Okay.
which helps reduce the amount of code that I need to write for certain kind of animation, I guess you could say, because I didn't always use the Unity animation engine. Like that's really cool, and it works well. It works like old Flash, so my experience with making Flash back in the day really helped there. But I also wanted to be able to control stuff with code specifically. So Haber was a great learning. And how do I use Lean Tween to do this? I need it to move wheels. I need it to move things back and forth. I need it to stop. I need it to trigger a sound. That sound, by the way, was great. What is that sound again?
Yeah, the
Fudge?
sound of the tractor backing up.
That's
awesome.
that's actually a wait, is it no, the helicopter is a mouse sound.
Helicopter was a mouth sound.
The tractor I used a piece of paper and a fan.
Piece of
Yeah.
paper and a fan. Interesting. Okay. I'm like trying to imagine it in my head, like holding the paper up to the fan.
And then did you modify with that Audacity, or was that?
Yeah, and then I went into Audacity
Yeah,
and made it deeper and muffled it a bit.
That is creative for sure. And there's Haber. So yeah, that was probably one of my favorite finds actually, because of the interactivity. Like you had to actually click on the thing to get it to move, and then you see that it's doing something else, and you're like, oh, okay, click on it again, see what happens, and then it moves out of the way. So I thought that was really cool, a really interesting implementation of a puzzle.
Some of the like with Hidden Folks, he had kind of like his tutorials. Like he had no writing, which I was going to try and do. He kind of like had the IKEA of tutorial or whatever, where he was trying to guide the user by like mini boards in between regular size boards to teach you, like, you need to be able to slide a window, so you slide like this, you know. And he said he went through multiple rounds of testers, and like sometimes they got it and sometimes they didn't. And so I watched like a lot of his, he did like a talk and like a white paper and stuff just on the whole UX of working with, how do you make a human think beyond just poke. And so that was kind of like, the tractor is starting to get you to think, oh, I might need to do two different things. But like that sliding the hay, like you had one where you had to poke it, but then when you realize in the other board, if you poke the rectangle hay, it won't move. So that's kind of your prompt for your brain to go, well, what else could I do that might make this hay move? So hopefully that worked. But
I mean, I thought it was successful. And you can still get that noise if you click on the tractor.
Yes, because it's idling. She's still bouncing.
She's still going. There's not a lot of cats on this one, so do you want me to find any more or leave it at that? I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, maybe we should leave it at that, because this is the like training you to do harder finds board, I guess.
Right. All right. So that was a lovely little look at the adorable CatSacks, all the floofies, all the kitty cats and the goats. And I think you have some other animals that come up in later maps as well. So there will be many floofs. Where?
There are cows on the second floor.
The second floor. Oh, yep, here we go. The cute little cows. Some of them
this
are
was
bigger
another
than others.
great sound effect that he got to make with his neighbors wondering what was going on.
Oh yeah, I can see how that would be a fun one to do.
Well, and you hear how deep his voice is.
Right.
And I would be, I need this to be higher. Can you do something about that? I need more whimsy. That has become a joke. Like, I thought you wanted more whimsy on this. No, not that one.
Wrong whimsy.
It's a lot of push and shove, I'll tell you that much.
I believe it for sure. All right, so we won't go any further just because we don't want to do too many spoilers. We want you guys to experience the puzzles and the challenge for yourself. I have to say, I'm not great at puzzles. I'm not terrible, but I'm not great. And I found this to be, relatively challenging, not impossible, but definitely challenging. And I suspect that we will see an increase in the challenges as we go along as well with the other maps and everything. So let's go ahead and turn it over to Q&A. So at this point, if anyone in the Steam audience wants to ask any questions, just pop it into the chat. I will be watching the chat now actively to see if anything comes through. While we are waiting for any questions to come through for you guys, though, we do actually have some stuff that we wanted to go over. So let me bring the window back up. Give me just a second here.
Some of the common questions that we get when people ask, like, how did you do that?
Right, right. So one of the most common questions is notable bugs and challenges during the development of the game.
For me, for the visuals, I thought it would be like the camera movement and how that stuff all works, but I think it ended up being shaders and materials. I don't even know how to explain shaders and materials well.
Okay.
But essentially, every item, how light hits it, and how it's supposed to show a particular texture, a color. Like there's two components. It's a material and a shader in what Unity needs, right? And then you might upload a texture, which would be, in this case, we'll call it the cat's ear. The texture is the cat's ear. The material is on the sprite, and the shader is like, how does the light hit it? I think I'm saying that right. I hope I am. If anybody's with Unity here and wants to correct me, please do, because I'm still not great at this. But I learned early on that the reason a lot of the 2D games have like little circle shadows under any moving object, or have like a very static shadow behind an item, is because getting shaders to have moving, soft, real looking shadows was nearly impossible on sprites. So I saw a few people who sort of were able to kind of do it, and I kind of made it a mission. Okay, I am going to figure this out, because I do not want to have these little circles. Like on mobile, we might have to go that way just to keep it lighter, but all of our tests on mobile, it looks like we're going to be able to do it this way. But it was a bit of a challenge to figure out how to write, because it's still code and it's a different type of code, to write a shader that will accept shadow. So if something moves in front of it, right, or over it, and changes the light, and for the camera to understand that translation to show it properly. So that was huge. And the day that we figured out that we think we got it like 99.99%, like I uploaded it to let other people know, like, hey, this is how I figured out how to do it on this version of Unity. Now, in the latest versions of Unity, it might be a thing, but we are soft locked on a slightly older version of Unity. So once we get to the newer ones, like maybe they've finally solved it, like ubiquitously, and it's not a thing anymore. But I was really excited about getting that.
Yeah.
And then the kite line, so as you saw the kite flyers in the game, so that's a line that's drawn. That's not a thing, or that's a line that's drawn with math, basically, and it's using something that Unity has called the line render, and I'm telling it start at this point and end at this point. Well, so I was very proud that I figured out how to do this in a 3D space, and it was it 3 days? 3 days before we were supposed to submit the full game to Steam for acceptance to be able to sell. And I'm working on a Lenovo Ultrabook that does not have dedicated graphics. Everything was fine to me. No testers had noticed anything. Sponge notices, the memory on my machine is going up and up and up. And we realize it's these lines. The kites are like making memory usage just keep going. So I'm like, oh no, how do I even solve this? Like, I thought I was doing this correctly. Came up with a plan B by like midnight. And I also sent a question out to one of the discords that I'm on with like cozy games. And conveniently, there were a couple people that were like, oh, I use line render all the time. Like, what's your challenge? And between those people and like seeing how I had implemented like cloning the lines, we were able to get it fixed and actually submit it with the right line render, so I didn't have to compromise on how it looked. So that was like a panic moment,
Yeah,
like right
clutch
before
for sure.
due.
Excellent. And you know, and that's just an excellent example of why it's so important for people in positions like this to have communities to reach out to, because just because you know you're running into an odd situation doesn't mean it's the first time that it's ever come out. Doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't have some relative experience that they can potentially, you know, utilize to help you overcome the challenge that you're in. So for anyone out there who's, you know, doing indie development or even content creation or something like that, don't be afraid to reach out to communities with like-minded individuals to help you overcome challenges like this. I think it's a really important part of it. Now, we have a question from the broadcast chat here from Surdor. They were curious about how long it took to make this game from start to finish. So, from the very, you know, beginning concepts to end of development and getting the game out to where it is today, about how long did that take?
And we're almost running out of time. I think the Steam broadcast like automatically shuts off, so hopefully I can be fast.
Okay. Chop chop. No, I'm just kidding. Go for it.
I spent the first 6 months learning C# and Unity. So I don't know if you want to count 6 months. And
I think that
then
counts.
I'd say just short of, I don't know, a year and 7-ish months of drawing, sound, building, testing, creating to get to this point.
Okay,
That sounds about right.
So if you
Minutes,
include the learning part, then you're a bit over 2 years then.
yeah.
Somewhere in that range, yeah.
Yeah. And this is not trying to kill ourselves either. Like there were some, 12-hour days, but we were also trying to be responsible and
Right.
not like
Trying not to do crunch
you know,
all the time. Keep
yeah.
it reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an important thing to keep in mind too. If you are an indie developer or part of an indie development team, you know, don't kill yourself when doing these projects. Make sure to take healthy breaks for sure.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
believe you
Yes.
said that the broadcast is scheduled to end 5:30. Or sorry,
Yep.
5:30
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So I see that we are running out of time here, folks. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who came out to check out the game with us and learn a bit about the team behind it, and how this idea came about and the challenges, but also the cool things that go on behind the scenes when creating a game, especially in an indie space. And thank you, Kama and Sponge, for coming on, and of course for letting me host this for you. I'm really happy to be a part of this project and just very proud to see this come to fruition. And I am looking forward to seeing the other amazing stuff that you guys come out with in the future.
Oh, and thank you guys. There's no way I could pull this off without you guys.
Yeah. Thank everybody. It's been an honor.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And if you haven't already, please go check out CatSacks for yourself and consider buying it. Deeply appreciate it. Thank you, Serdar. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.